What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of the Undergrad Forum. Today, we're going to talk about the medical school personal statement. Is it important? What can you do to improve it? And kind of more logistical insight to actually give you meaningful advice on how to improve your personal statement if you haven't been thinking about it. I got a crew of people here today to talk about it. Myself, Mo, your second-year medical student, and let's go around and introduce ourselves.
Amy, fourth year neurobiology major at UCI.
Hi everyone, I'm Melody. I'm also a fourth year here at UCI. I'm a bio major.
Hi, I'm Estelle, and I'm another fourth year bio major at UCI.
So obviously I came into the bioscience building and found these people, but it's actually a good mix because we have three people who are preparing their AMCAS applications and they're preparing their personal statement, so we can get insight into what it's like preparing your personal statement. I'll give you my insight, having written it a while ago, but it's not going to be as meaningful as the advice you're going to get from these people. So pay attention and take notes and listen. So let's just start overall. Do you think the personal statement, I'm sorry, I kind of scared you there, but do you think, so is the medical school personal statement important? Should we take it seriously or should we kind of be like, it's one of the things you just do like the night before?
I think it's pretty important because it's an introduction of who you are to the medical school. Gives them an idea of why you want to go to medical school and what kind of person you are.
That's absolutely right. The medical school personal statement is actually really important. Some people don't put enough time into it, and some people just think it's like a regular essay they wrote in college where they just kind of shifted it and did it last minute. This is not that time. You have a very limited. How much? You know how many characters they have? Is it like one page single spaced?
2,500.
Yes, that's like one page single space, or it's actually a little bit less even. It's not a full page.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of room. You can't like just write like an 8-page essay like you might on a normal occasion. You have a limited space, and you have to make a good introduction. What some people don't like to think is the fact that a personal statement is your opportunity to sell yourself. These people are going to be looking at AMCAS all day. They're going to see MCAT, GPA. Everyone pretty much does the same thing of volunteering and research. Some people will do unique things, but your personal statement is really the only thing you have where you can show them who am I and how am I different. So you don't want to kind of mess that up. It's extremely important. I would say it's the third most important thing. First being MCAT, second being GPA, and third being your personal statement. So Amy, what do you think should be in a good personal statement? You're thinking about it, you're preparing, you're a hardcore college medical, biosci, I don't know, and you're preparing for the personal statement. What should be in it? How should we do it?
Okay, well, besides the usual hook and trying to get the audience's attention, I think it's really important to talk about a experience that was unique to yourself that really either changed your perspective on people or medicine or just, maybe, taught you compassion. Just anything that's very, I would like to read something that was heartfelt and something meaningful that was coming from like a student, so that you know that they genuinely want to become a medical doctor.
But then given that kind of intro, wouldn't everyone's be kind of the same?
It depends, right? It depends on what people choose to write about. Some people maybe want they have like a pity story where, it's like really sappy and like really sad. Others can choose to maybe write about a really sad experience, but talk about how it empowered them to, want to pursue the career. It really depends because everybody's situation is different, but you can make your story your own.
I think that's a really good point. I think the most important thing you said is it's really individualized. Yes, we're all going to be saying the similar main ideas of we're interested in medicine, we have compassion, we have empathy. We're all going to say the same ideas, but our examples are going to set us apart. But it's kind of weird to talk about yourself. Don't you feel kind of weird like talking about yourself all the time?
Yeah.
Did you guys have a problem at all? Like
I
had a hard
that.
time.
Yeah, I had that problem with my undergrad application. I remember just feeling really vain and getting really frustrated about saying I a lot in a paper. And so I came up with the idea recently to start writing in a journal to get used to writing about myself a little bit, so that when the day does come when I start writing my AMCAS application personal statement, I will be more accustomed to writing about myself, and it wouldn't be as difficult and internally frustrating.
That's good. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a realistic point. It's not easy to sit there and try to sell yourself. It feels weird to a certain degree. But at the same time, you have to tell a unique story. But I think a lot of us feel like we all went to college, we all studied science for the most part. Some people don't. But we don't usually feel unique. I mean, how does that work out?
Well, some people do take a year off And I guess in that way, they try to find that uniqueness, that discovery, that exploration. But I guess some people also are considered non-traditional, and in that way, you can add in that uniqueness. But we're all unique, given that we're all people, right? So
That's true. I mean, everyone is
Right.
unique, right?
yeah, it's just hard to put into words.
Absolutely. So, what do we want to talk about? Okay, so those are critical points. They're actual true logistical points you're going to face when you sit down to write your paper. You're going to feel weird talking about yourself. You're going to realize that you don't think you're all that special and no one's going to want to hear your stories, but you are. Just write about something and trust me, people are going to want to read it. And the third, it has to be well written. Otherwise, people are not going to enjoy reading it. That paper, it's like a full essay. People are going to read it in moments. No one's going to sit there and like carefully read it. It's speed reading. Like you would read a newspaper, you just want to get a quick gist of the article. So what's like the main thing? I think what I think is important in a personal statement is actually having a story. Yeah, you have to have a good hook. But if there's nothing to read, if it's number one biggest mistake, if you don't have a story, what you're probably doing is rewriting your application, telling us, well, I volunteered here and then I went there and I did. I don't care. It's in your application. Don't rewrite it. What's the point of copying and pasting? I saw it there. I don't need to see it twice, right? That makes sense, right? Right?
It does.
Don't waste your time. You guess.
I said it does.
Oh, thank you. I think it doesn't make any sense, right? All right. I got a diverse crowd somewhere. I'm kidding. Anyways, but seriously, you have to have a story. So I won't tell you my entire story, but I'll give you a gist of my story and kind of how I worked it out. And then you guys can tell us what you think stories would be cool to talk about. You don't have to give it your actual examples, but it's going to be cool. So my hook in my personal statement was, so you have an orange cat, question mark. Kind of a weird introduction, and I'm pretty sure I'm actually quite confident that no one else in that admission cycle had that exact same hook. It was uniquely mine. Why? Because I have an orange cat. And I talked about asthma. I talked about how my mother had asthma. We took her to like a hospital. I was just there with her for like a week. I got to see what doctors did at a young age. And then I kind of developed that into how that kind of led me to do some research and how it led me to actually do some shadowing and kind of get unique experiences and made me realize I want to do medicine. And then I brought it back at the end of how that doctor who asked us that very important question of a very unconventional of, so you have a cat, right? How he actually led me to think, well, you know what, medicine is for me, it's my calling, it's what I want to do as my profession. So I kind of brought it back, but I just gave a quick story of how I was exposed to it at a young age, what I did in college to kind of test myself, and in the end, where I see myself going. Simple story. I mean, I could talk for a while about it and read it to you, but it's a simple story. It's not too complex, but it's unique because it's my specific story.
Yes.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who had an experience, they did things, and then they concluded it, right? It's a simple timeline, but your story makes you unique. And now everyone in school knows I like cats. I mean, it's weird, but that's how it works out, right?
Yeah.
So that was my story. I had the thread. I even had a quote in mind, and it was okay. And I quoted some philosophy thing. I don't remember what it was, unfortunately. But at the time, I was like at a liberal arts college, and I was memorizing all these things, and I was studying. Right now, I forgot. Sorry. But studying for step one just pushes things out, apparently. Anyways, but that was my story. So Amy, anyone else, just jump in. You don't have to go in order. What do you think would be a cool story if you want to mention a story you thought of? I don't know.
Well, there are some like personal statement books out there where they do have
That's right, yeah.
all these essays that people actually wrote, and you can just buy it on Amazon or something. You can look through them and see the different ways that people have written. And I remember reading a really good essay about how this person who was actually a vet and actually decided to pursue medicine. And so they talked about their veterinarian experience.
It's a hard word.
Yeah. So they talked about their experience as a vet and kind of just talked about how being the vet made them realize that they wanted more. They wanted something more. So, and I mean, it doesn't have to be like one particular experience. Like if you have a hard time choosing different experiences, just write them all out and, ask for help.
Good point. I did that actually. My first personal statement was 20 pages long. I wrote like 5 papers. I just put them on. It was just one Word document. I just kept going. Every paragraph had nothing to do with the one before it. But what you can do is you can print them out and like cut out each paragraph. It's kind of childish. But you can literally that's what I did. I pasted these things together in real time. Not copy and paste, paper and paste. And I just kind of made my essay that way. So excellent idea on just Bring all your ideas out. Those books, be careful with those books. They're not gold. I bought like 4 because I was nervous and I didn't use a single one. So buy mine. Be careful with those books. If you can, just look at someone or look at a used one library. You do not need to buy it to do a good personal statement. There's plenty of free ones online you can look at.
Yeah.
Any other insight from the crew? Take that as a no. Okay. But I think what that actually shows is that it's not easy to think of ideas. So how did I think of my idea? How did you think of your idea? You didn't tell us your idea. Do you have an idea you want to share? You don't have to.
I have a lot, so it's gonna take a while.
Give us 2.
But,
Give us 2. Randomly picked, and then I'll poke you for picking those.
I had a really great elementary school teacher who actually brought us out on mini field trips, just outside, like everywhere.
Okay.
And she was like a science geek. She really loved trying to show us
Is she
how
single?
Huh?
Is she single?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
But yeah, it was like in 5th grade, and she would always do these dissections for us, all those things, and she made us appreciate, certain things in life. Like she made us appreciate science.
Okay.
She really liked animals, and she even talked about animals that people tend to not like spiders and bugs.
Yeah,
She would talk about them, and she would get us out there, out in the park to try to get to touch one and to just, appreciate more of that. And I think that was just one of the many experiences that helped me appreciate science and, health in general. I mean, I can talk forever about her.
We'll stop there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a really good example, I think. So, but I think that leads to an important point. Does your medical school personal statement have to be just about medicine? And that's not about medicine really much at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think? Does it have to be about medicine?
No.
Why?
Because you're not just a doctor. A doctor shouldn't define you as a person, because you're more than that, right? You have all these other goals and these dreams, and you should put them down in your personal statement, right? Because part of the interview process, you might be asked, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I was asked that question, actually.
Mm-hmm.
No joke.
So
And I said in residency.
I
got the same line.
So, I mean, being a doctor isn't just about helping people. It's also about improving yourself first before you become a doctor, because that's what you're doing. You're improving yourself and improving others, right? So
Sure,
I don't know.
excellent. Yeah, so mine happened to be very medically related. It was all around medicine, but I think your story could be more than actually. I think your story would work better than mine in the sense that you're talking about an experience and how it taught you extremely valuable things to appreciate nature, to appreciate living things, to appreciate have empathy for the. You can write anything about that topic, couldn't you? Yeah, that's a really great one, and it's very unique, right? Not many people. My 5th grade teacher was horrible. So you had a great one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so what else can we talk about? What other advice do you guys want to give to the personal statement perusers out there?
Don't be vain. Don't be cocky.
That's a good point.
I overheard certain counselors talk about how they read some students' personal statements and they were almost appalled by some of the things that they mentioned.
Jeez.
And it was because they felt that the person was bragging, bragging a lot, and being just kind of pretentious and all that. So stay away from that tone. Try to be humble, if anything, because I think humility is what gets people to actually feel something.
Or classy.
Yeah, or classy.
That's a good point. Do not try to show off. The people that are reading these things are so well accomplished in comparison to you. And they did exactly what you did. They applied just like you. So just be real and be honest about it. Don't try to tell me you're the coolest guy in the world, because you're not, probably. All right. One big thing, don't go on and on. I mean, if you did good research, congratulations. If you published in a good journal, congratulations. Don't tell me about your research in your paper. I don't care. No one cares. You can tell me you did research and what you got out of it, but don't tell me about your project. That's the world's dumb. Well, it's silly. I don't think that's a very silly thing to do. If you start telling me you did PCR and why you did it, this is not. That makes no. People have done this. I'm not joking. I've read one of those. They're worthless. So don't do that. You're just wasting space. All right. All right. Any final words for our any closing statements? Anyone?
I think that's it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave comments. We'll respond to them. And as always, enjoy your studies.